Welcome to Momotales.
In a quiet little village surrounded by tall trees and whispering winds, there lived a woman named Greta. She was a seamstress who spent her days sewing clothes in her small, creaky wooden cottage. Greta was very skilled with a needle and thread. Her stitches were so perfect. They looked like magic. But sadly, her heart was not as warm as her blankets. She never smiled at anyone and never helped those who had no money. If a poor child came to her door, she would close it without even listening. "I don't work for free," she would mutter, tying her scarf tighter and turning away. Her windows stayed shut, and her home felt cold, even in summer. One chilly winter night, snowflakes fell softly outside as Greta worked by candlelight. The wind howled through the trees, making her shutters rattle. Suddenly, there was a soft knock at her door. A little girl stood shivering on the porch, her clothes thin and her nose red from the cold. "Please, ma'am," the girl whispered. "My baby brother has no coat. Can you help us?" Her eyes were wide with hope, but Greta frowned and waved her hand. "No coins, no clothes," she said sharply, slamming the door shut. The girl walked away quietly, hugging herself as snow gathered on her shoulders. Greta returned to her sewing, but the room suddenly felt colder. That night, as the wind grew stronger, something magical happened. A swirl of golden sparkles filled the room and formed into a glowing, smiling bear. He was soft, warm, and had a tiny scarf wrapped around his neck. "Hello, Greta," he said gently. "I'm Momo, and I'm here to help you." Greta jumped back in surprise. "What in the world are you?" she gasped. "How did you get in?" "I come when hearts need healing," Momo said kindly. "And yours, Greta, has forgotten how to care." Greta scoffed and turned away. "I don't need help from a fuzzy talking bear." But just then, her sewing machine stopped working. The needle jammed, the threads snapped, and the fabric turned dull gray. "What's happening to my things?" she cried, tugging at the broken thread. Even her hands began to feel heavy and stiff. Momo floated down beside her. "This is the curse of a cold heart," he whispered. "You've pushed away kindness for too long. You can fix this," he said gently, "but only if you choose to sew something for someone who truly needs it with love, not for money." Greta crossed her arms. "I don't know how to do that," she whispered, staring at her lifeless thread. Momo gave her a small, hopeful look. "You do. You just forgot." The next morning, Greta stepped outside and looked at the snowy village. Children were running around in torn clothes, giggling and sharing what little they had. One boy had socks with holes and no jacket. Another girl wore a dress too small for her growing body. Greta watched them closely, her heart pulling in a way she hadn't felt in years. She turned and went back inside, her mind full of quiet thoughts. She pulled out a piece of soft red cloth from her scraps pile. "Maybe I could make something small," she whispered to herself. Carefully, she began to sew a little scarf. As she stitched, she imagined the girl from last night, holding her brother close. The more she sewed, the easier her fingers moved. A gentle warmth returned to her hands. Suddenly, the red thread shimmered for just a second, glowing softly like a golden light had passed through it. Greta gasped. "That felt magical," she whispered. She folded the scarf gently, wrapped it in paper, and walked to the little girl's home. Her heart beat a little faster. The girl opened the door, her eyes wide in surprise. "Is that for us?" she asked. Greta nodded, holding out the scarf with both hands. "And tomorrow, I'll bring a coat for your brother." The girl hugged the scarf tightly, tears brimming in her eyes. Greta felt her chest tighten, but in a good way, like sunshine melting ice. Back at home, her sewing room looked brighter. The curtains swayed gently, and the colors of her fabric seemed richer. Momo appeared again, sitting on the windowsill with a proud smile. "You've begun to change," he said. Greta smiled for the first time in a long while. I forgot how good it feels to give. Day by day, she stitched warm clothes for children across the village: coats, mittens, scarves, and even soft little shoes. Her hands moved with joy, and the glowing threads returned brighter and brighter with every gift. Children came not just for clothes, but to tell stories, share cookies, and bring her drawings they made. Greta hung their art on her walls, smiling at each picture. She hadn't felt this alive in years. One day, a young boy handed her a button he'd found and said, "You made my sister smile. That's worth more than money." Greta held the button like a treasure. Her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered, "Thank you." Momo brought her a magical needle called the heart stitch. It sparkled in rainbow light and only worked with love. "You've earned it," he said softly. "Your heart is light again." Soon, people from nearby villages heard about Greta's kindness. Even the mayor came by to say thank you. Then one day, a royal messenger knocked on her door. The princess would like a dress made by the seamstress with a golden heart. Greta's hands shook as she accepted the request, but she knew what to do. She spent days sewing the dress with laughter in her heart and love in every thread. It shined like morning sun on water. When the princess wore it, she danced with joy. "This is more than a dress," she said. "It feels like a hug." Greta looked at her glowing hands and laughed with happy tears. The curse was truly gone now. From that day on, her workshop became a place of joy. Children laughed, sang, and helped her sew gifts for others. She never took money again. Instead, she asked each child to bring a song, a hug, or a smile. Her walls were filled with drawings and her shelves with tiny handmade thank you notes. In the center of the village park, the people built a statue of Greta and Momo, holding a glowing spool of thread. Children called it the Stitch of Kindness, and every time someone walked past, they were reminded to give with love. And it said that wherever someone wears Greta's clothes, a tiny golden thread glows, reminding the world that kindness is the most magical thing of all.
More rhymes, more stories, more smiles. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Momotales.